So the top is fixed, and you might wonder why this looks different than this, and that's because this has a clear coat on it. Plus you can still see where the tape was. I just need to go at that with a sponge, clean that up. Just get a sponge and clean it. Wipe it down. Anyways, I didn't bust out the thing because while I was doing this, I was like, I'm going to make an entire airbrushing video, so I don't want to do too much on this one, but I will show you this. So I've airbrushed the top, you can see, and then you remember where I put the, from the last video, where I put the latex, and you can see here how it looks when you finish and take off the latex. So we're just going to take off a few pieces of latex here, kind of show you. Try not to dig at it too much with your fingernails if you have fingernails, because it should just wipe right out. If you dig at it, you could harm that good looking silver underneath it, and you don't want to do that. Try to go fast, because the slower you go, the less natural it looks. Try to go real fast with it. And this one's still got some. I'll kind of shine that up a little. Alright, so you can see the top now. I've gotten all that peeled off. And then what I do after I get done doing a section, and I mentioned this in the last video, is right after I got done peeling all that off, I sprayed this over with some clear acrylic spray paint. Every little part that I get done, I finish it off by spraying it with a clear coat of acrylic spray paint. It gives it some extra holds. So I got done with that. There's a few little spots that I still need to fix up on the front, but I did do the black. You can see the black around, all the way around, and that's also done with the airbrush. I got the black there and black on the bottom. Now on these detail pieces, I'm gonna have to do what I did last time with my other clone trooper. You can see down in here. Let's try to get it under the light as best possible, so you can see. I'm gonna have to get in there and basically brush all that stuff, because it's so tight, and these weren't separate pieces. I wish they were. I could have put them in after I was done building this, you know, this piece here and these two pieces here, but they come as part of the print, and it's a real tight squeeze in there to get tape in. So I'm gonna have to actually go in here with a brush, a paintbrush, and finish the black around here, and then the silver that's inside of there, and then also the black that's around here. You can see where the tape was. Well, other than that, it's looking really good. I've got the white on the sides and the white on the top left to tape up and do, and so I think I'm actually going to show you guys that. It takes a little while to go in there and set up a camera and do the airbrushing and try to explain what's going on. So I'm just going to show you guys how I tape it. I like to use this stuff for any fine detail and lines. It's amazing. Just find the lines that it needs to be. And then this stuff you want to, I always pull quite a bit out. So I'm about this far away. I never get like real close, because you can end up tearing it and stuff and breaking it. I find the best way to control it is to get kind of a distance, let a little bit through, and then pull it tight. Not too tight though, because it will break. And then just kind of follow with your fingers as you go down. and push it in. Just take your time with it, basically. If you rush it, you will get a bad end result. But it does pretty good. It bends quite a lot more than I thought it was going to. So the first thing that we're going to do is just load up the airbrush, and then we're going to just put one thin layer of white over the top. So I just usually start out here on the paper in case there's any water from the last cleaning still in it, until I get it nice consistent. You can see the white's coming out good there. So. I find that white, whether it's spray paint or this paint, it always goes on the same. I think it's just the pigment that it's made out of. Alright, there we go. Alright, the good thing about acrylic is I usually, when I'm about to move on to the next step, you can do all this super quick. Like if I was just painting this and that's it, without doing any other work, I could have this all painted in one day because it's acrylic. You can take a blow dryer, come in here, and let's plug this in. If that does go through, we have that clear coat on, so all I have to do is take a really fine sandpaper and sand that. So I'm just going to mix in a black here. So now I'm going to get some practice shots. I got the paper here. Actually, see that water blast that comes out? That's from cleaning it. See the difference? Now it's coming out good. So basically I want to get little tiny, I'm going to push the a little bit. So I'm just going in here and making kind of little things like that all along here. And when I was on the top, like I said a second ago, I was making circles. And all you do is you get about this close, push the air in, and then start letting a little paint out, and then pull away. And we're going to clean this thing out, put the white back in it. Okay, so we basically got the white from chocolate milk to regular milk. So, same thing. First thing I'm going to do is get the water out. If there's any water, spray it until it's consistent. Alright, looks good. Now I'm going to go at a distance. I'm actually going to pull this away. Push down, let the air out, and start letting it through. I'm just going to start spraying this over the top. And lightening up that top part. I don't have much more of that olive color. Anyways, I'll have to go in and fix that part now. So I forgot my light in the first part of this video. I forgot to hook up the light. I'm trying to find a good way to hook this light up. So it's not putting off too much of a glare. There we go. This very last part is really easy. And you can see I've gotten a ton done It looks really good. I still got some detail work to do. A few little small things to do, but it's looking really, really good right now. It's got a lot of character. I'll dig it. So, now the vents on this one are in the back. They're not in the front. So all the other ones are right here. These ones are right here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of lay this on. I don't have my scissors, but I don't think I really need them. So there's 9 of them. Nine vents. I'm going to try to get them about even on both sides. And I'm putting the cross lines on first. Basically, because, or the horizontal lines first. Because I'm kind of eyeballing it from the other side. I'll lay the vertical lines over the top, so when I get done, all I have to do is pull. And I'm going to try to leave, you see how there's a little bit of tape here that's kind of up, I can grab, and one that's up here, because you don't want to be like picking and digging at your print. You can cause your fingernail can accidentally go into the paint or something, so you always want to leave your piece up. So they're just kind of the same shape on both sides. Now that one kind of goes down a little bit, so I'm going to do the same thing over here because I like that one more. That's about right. I'm going to find my starting point. It'll be here. And what I'm going to do is just tear off a whole bunch of these. It's just going to be easier. And the way that I'm going to get them the exact same size is I'm actually going to use a piece of this as reference. So basically, I'll set one on here right next to it, but I'm only putting it on light. And I'm going to put one on right next to that. And I'm going to take that one off and set it here. That way every one of them is the same size. There we are. Well, it's going to be airbrushed. Basically, I'm just building an air block fence. So I'm not going to stick this down. I'm actually going to stick it up. Because the splatter that you get from airbrushes is from, you know, you're airbrushing and the air comes out and shoots and then spreads. So as long as you keep it on target, all you need is kind of a little splatter stopper. Alright, see? So now it's got a splatter wall, and I don't have to waste a whole bunch of tape. I'll do the same thing to the other side. Now we take the monster goo. Same thing we did with the front. Dip that in the latex. And now this has like, the top is like a alignment. And then, like I said, these small ones that are littler, I'm gonna make it look like they've kind of just faded back with the latex. So they look like they were once the right size. Just like that. Let's do the other side. I'm gonna get in here real close so you guys can really see it. That should be good. And then we're gonna move on to the same color green that we put in here. So I'm just gonna use this medium green. That's what I used for there. And you can actually apply this while the latex is still a little wet. So you don't have to wait for it to dry all the way. Alright, I do this every time because I just cleaned it. And spray it on here. You can see that water that came out there. And spray it on here until it comes out correctly. I do this every time after I clean it. See, now it's coming out good. So, and then just come in, push down in the air, and let it little out. I'm not trying to make it too thick because I don't want a ton of air flying back since I don't have a whole lot of tape on it. Oh, got a water bubble. I hate it when that happens because then it drips. So I'm going to put some air on it to just kind of get it out of there. Just straight air, nothing else. I'm going to get all that water out of there so this can go on evenly. Alright, now I'm going to start applying paint. Alright, now on to the next one. Same thing, just air. Slowly pull back on the trigger. That tape wasn't down all the way. That's not good. So I'm going to have to treat it like a stencil and spray it straight over the top. hope it doesn't drip. So I'm just gonna have to go in there afterwards with sandpaper and fix it. Because all this, after a piece gets done, I spray a gloss coating over the top. So if there's any spray that comes back up on it or anything like that, all I got to do is take fine sandpaper or even just my fingernail at some times and just scratch it off. It's that simple because of the clear coat, and it'll just sand into the clear coat rather than sanding into the actual color itself. Alright, I'm gonna come back over here and a real thin, light, extra coat on it. Because acrylic dries super fast. So fast that when you're using acrylic in an airbrush, it clogs your airbrush really fast. So you can already see parts where the color is a different color down here than up here because this is already starting to dry. And this is a little thicker up here. So alright, there we go. It's done. Done being airbrushed. Now I'm just going to take my airbrush in and clean it out, let it dry a little bit, and if it's not dry by the time I get back, I'm just going to take a hairdryer to it like we did in the past video for all this other stuff. So what I love about acrylic is I can work on this anytime that I want to. Just work on it and work on it and work on it because it dries. You can just dry it so quickly, and if it's not dry, you just take a hairdryer to it and get it dry. So I could probably get this whole helmet painted in a day if I wanted to. It would be super sloppy if I did. So I mean, you should be taking your time, but you can. Yeah, I mean, you have the ability if you're a good enough airbrusher. I said earlier in the video, but I had the blow dryer on at the same time, so I doubt you could hear me. Remember, this is PLA, and if your hair blow drying PLA, it's good to have a blow dryer that has one of these buttons on it. And what that does is it gets super hot, and this cools it down to where it's just blowing cool air, and then you can let it go and it heats up again, and push it back and it cools down. You don't want straight heat on this because it will melt the PLA and it'll warp it. So you want to be very careful with how much heat you put on it. Right. It should be good. Let's test here. Should be good to peel off. So I'm just going to start taking this off, and as I take it off, it'll take off a whole bunch. It's going to take off the tape that it's attached to, plus the latex that the tape that it's attached to is attached to. So that looks really good. Very impressed by it. So let's see how this other side turned out. Taking my fingernail right next to it, kind of scraping down any of this excess that may have gotten under the tape. And like I said, with that clear coat, that's all you gotta do, and it doesn't damage the gray underneath. That looks really good. Really good. I'm excited about that. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Good stuff. So now, that is what it looks like from the side. really I just need to go in here, and there's a few spots like in here that I need to do some detail work, and then around here, maybe a little up here, and then definitely back up in here. Basically just those little spots, but other than that, other than those spots, it's basically done being painted. I did sprinkle a little bit of that aluminum coloring throughout here, but I think it looks really good. And I accidentally made this bigger than it was supposed to be, but I actually think it looks better. I found a picture of this helmet like from a comic or something that was like extremely weathered, and it had a way bigger gash right here, and it just looked amazing. I'll show you guys a picture right up here. It just looked amazing, and so I was just like, I'm gonna leave that because it just looks tougher. And I've got to decide how much weathering I want to actually do on this, because it's got to have, you know, with all this stuff here. I know that they have a picture of the collectible, the official Star Wars collectible helmet, and it's all real nice and clean, and you know, it's got just spots in this green area and stuff like that. But if you're gonna have spots like this is battle damage, and if you're gonna have battle damage, you're gonna have weathering, and you might as well do some weathering and give it some attitude. I mean, really put on the, you know, there's spots in here that I kind of don't want to go in, and if this was my helmet, I wouldn't fix it, because it's just a little section here or there where there's a little extra color here or there that shouldn't be there, but it just looks like that grime and stuff would be there. But I'm trying to decide on how heavy I want to go with it. So it'll have weathering all in here. Oh, I still gotta airbrush these too. So actually we'll do that right now. Well, I thought this was on. Guess it wasn't. I just painted these side things. It's like a really, really dark gray, not really black. You can tell the difference between the black here. This is jet black, and this is the gray color. And that's a little bit of that attention to detail that you need to have when building these, because Star Wars fans are brutal, and they will call you out on colors. It's basically done being painted, besides small detail stuff that I'm going to have to take a brush to. So I'm going to clean my airbrush, and after I get done cleaning it, we're going to hair dry this these little pieces. Take the hair dryer to it, get them dry. We're going to take the paint off, and then give it a few hours, about 3 or 4 hours, and then we're going to put a clear coat on it to protect it. Here's the thing, you want to make sure it's dry. I didn't mention this. You want to make sure it's dry and good dry before you actually take the tape off, because if it's not all the way dry, what happens is the wet that's around the edges will kind of flop over onto the piece, and you'll have a really nice coating, and then you can see where that piece that's half dry just flopped over and stuck to it, and it looks really bad. You just kind of have to sand it back down and try it again, and it takes a whole lot of time, so you don't want to mess up like that. You want to make sure you get it dry. So in this case, I'm actually going to take off one at a time, because the best way to remove tape is to just fold it right back over on itself and just slowly pull. That way you don't, if you pull it straight up, like straight out like this, if the paint's not binding to the bottom layer very well, you can pull it up with it. If you do it like this, you minimize the risk of pulling up the bottom layer and pulling up any other pieces that might be stuck to here into the tape at the same time. So, and small detail pieces that I do with anything, I take the tape off like that. Ooh, that looks really good. That pops. That pops. Wow. There we go. Wow, those pop. They do. They just pop. There's a little bit of detail left to do on them, but they pop. That looks great.